Alright, so we're gonna talk about running Applet on the CMD on the console. So let's take a look at. First, I open my CMD, right? So go to search and do CMD, right? And then just choose a command prompt. Now, Applet is the Java program that embed on the website, so we need to create an HTML for the Applet. So I can use any notepad program to do that. So let me go to a folder where I have my file, an Applet file, which is I save it as .html. So last time I think it's not working because I haven't to do the closing in one line. You have to separate into two separate one, and it should work. Okay, so let's try that. So again, this is an HTML, so you just open HTML and closing HTML, right? Body and then closing body, and this is the Applet. This is just a text that you wanted to show on the page, and this is linking to code, which is your hello.class. And now if you're looking at our hello.class, so hello.class technically a Java program that we try to draw the word hello, right? So, and this is a Java code, right? So to the Applet, we just extend Applet, okay, and then use the method paint, and the argument is graphics, and we just do g.drawString, and I just try to draw oval and draw a line at the same time. So this is just the coordinates. Like if you want to draw a line, like you need to specify two coordinates. So 10 should be 10 pixels from the left of your top corner screen, and 10 pixels down, 10 10. So that means the first corner is around here. So x, y, and x again another 750. This is pretty much just a vertical line from the top to the bottom. This is the same like where you want your oval to start to draw, like coordinate starting point, and this is just width and height of the oval. Since they are equal, so it's going to be a circle. Alright, so now let's try to see if I can run Applet, right? To run Applet, like we technically have to do the same thing. Go to the location where you have your file, right? Which is I put on my desktop and VCC. And now you just going to, technically I already compiled the hello.java I create.class. That's the first thing you want to do, which you already know how to do that. Now to do Applet, we just say, like normally Java we do Java, right, followed by the class name, but Applet viewer is different because Applet viewer is going to be embed on the web, so that's why we embed on the HTML, right? Applet viewer HTML. There you go. So the mistake that we did last time, if you look at the video, it was just the HTML right here that I didn't do another closing right there. I just do slash, because HTML sometimes you can close inside, but it seemed like the Applet tag will not take that.
What was the problem last time with the Applet?
Oh, just the code here.
It was in the HTML.
Here, the code was like here, like that. Which, because HTML normally you can close in the same line, but look like for Applet tag it will not take it. Okay, so the version even 1.9 is still okay. It's just warning that it's just deprecated. Okay, so it became 1.9. So like I said, this is an oval, right? If you look at the Java code again, the first g.drawString hello world, I go to 100 pixel and 100 pixel from the top left corner. So I start to draw that location, draw string hello world. And again, this is draw oval, which is when I have width and height equivalent, so that's why I draw a circle. 50-50 is like 50 from the left and 50 from the top. It start to have like invisible rectangle like their starting point, and width 200 and height 200 pixels. And this is the line that we just discussed earlier, 10 pixel from the top and the bottom, and start to draw a line down 10 pixel from left, and bottom is 750 pixel. That's why. And your class exercise pretty much just have to draw the grids for tic-tac-toe, right? Alright, then that should be easy. Just draw 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, and then you can draw string O and X, or draw oval. Doesn't matter. I think draw strings should be easier. Alright, so any question on how to run Applet? So our class is going to get more interesting. So I want to make sure you still keep doing submission your assignment like the way we do, right, on Git and everything. Do you still have any question how to submit assignment? You guys okay at this point, right? So now you can use the Intellij ID and do VCS, right? Version control and share project. Okay. But you just need to make sure you install Git. And what chapter are we on now? We should read chapter 3 now, I think.
Yeah. Chapter we've only gone up to chapter 2.
Right.
Alright.
So, you guys finished chapter 2, right? So, chapter 2 is talking about data types, right? Alright, so what are the example of the list of the data types in Java?
Do you mean just like the smallest one, or?
Oh, by the way, this is your tutor. If you need tutor, his name is Max.
What room?
He should be in CT building in computer lab during this hour.
Like the computer lab right there.
The computer lab is by the men's room on the other side.
Oh, okay.
That's MATLAB. Okay, so yeah, you can email him. He should be able to help. Yeah, he used to take my class too, but now he's go to George Mason. All right, he should be a very helpful resource for you. A smart guy. All right, so now let's look at data type again. So what are data types that you have learned?
Well, there's all the ones for integers. So there's int, short, long. I can't remember the smallest one. There's those. There's Boolean. String, char. I think that's it. Off the top of my head. There's the chart for it.
That is right. There's a chart for it.
Byte.
So they're called primitive data types.
Yep. Floats.
So primitive data type in Java is related to introduction 1.1. We were used to talk about what, bits and byte, right? So we need to know the size. So now what do you mean by size, like a bit, right? So what data type has 1 bit is a Boolean. Okay, so yeah, because you can do 1 bit is either 0 1, which is 0 is false, 1 is true, 2 or false, right? Now let's think about why do we need to know Boolean. When is the situation you need to use Boolean?
Well, for logic gates, things like that. For for example, if this is true, then you would do this, or if this is true, then you do another one. So you can.
This is the Boolean,
that.
right?
Or you can do for and while loops until the thing is true, or while something is false. Booleans allow you to evaluate a function. Or is it that they are the evaluation of a function?
You're correct. I mean, you're correct. So, like for example, in the next chapter, in chapter 3, anyone start reading chapter 3? So what is it about? If else, right?
Yeah.
Then you have to evaluate. If it's true, that's why it's Boolean come, right? Then you do this. Else false, then you don't do it, right? So that's why Boolean comes. So you need to know when to use Boolean, right? For example, let me show the data type chart first. Okay. Alright, so I think I should have it under my downloads. So let's look at chapter 2. So you should know like the size of each data type. Okay, that's the first thing we want to focus. But I just try to explain a little bit on why we need a data type, right? So like Boolean, when we want to evaluate the expressions. So here's a chart that we want to look at on slide 13. You can download these slides, right, from our Blackboard. We just talked about this guy, Boolean 1 bit, true or false. So how many are there that we have primitive data type? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 8 types. So 1 bit is true or false. How about what's byte? We learn byte.
8 bits.
Byte has 8 bits, 8 bits. Now if I have 1 bit, I can represent 2 values, right? If I have 8 bit, how many values I can represent?
256.
256. Or another way, we do 2 to the power of 8, right? Because 1 bit is 2 values, like 2 to the 1 you have 2, right? 2 bits, 2 to the 2 you have 4, 2 to the 8 you have 256. So if I want to use 256, I can represent 100. Like if you want to do positive 0 to 255, but we have to say numbers has negative, right? So we divide in half, so it's going to be between minus 128 to 127, because it's half of each, right? Then we can do negative and positive integers. So that's why if you're talking about byte data type, 1 byte is an integer number. Integer means it's represent a whole number, right? In the negative and positive, right? In that range. If I want to represent number 129, I cannot use this guy, or 128 minus 1 to no, because it's just too small. Then I have to go with short, because 129 is in that range, right? Because short has 2 bytes, which 2 to 16, whatever number you get, 65,000 something. So then half of that is 32,768, and half of that is 32,767, right? That you can represent between negative and positive. That makes sense? So this is the same principle with int 4 bytes, which is 32, right? 2 to 32, you have like about 2 billion, right? Negative 2 billion to positive 2 billion, that you can represent the data between that range. And if you want to represent something more than 2 billion, then you probably going to do long. Now that's going to be a maximum that we can go because we are in the 64-bit architecture. Because 8 byte is 64-bit, right? So 2 to the 64 is going to be that range. Okay. Now, when is the time we want to use byte? Anyone can think of?
Storing small.
Okay, what's data type first? Data type, why we need just to use data type? Use data type to define the type of data that you try to manipulate or store. Like user enter name, right? Last time, that what is data type? String. Right? In Java, the text we call string, right? So we try to manipulate string. That's why last time I have to declare. What do I declare? If you guys remember.
String. Well, string space.
Remember we use scanner to read in, right? Input. And after you read in, how do you store that name that the user type?
Set variable equals
If we remember,
so
string, right?
equals
We have to create a variable's name, right? In order to store that information. Like this, right? See that? Enter your name, I read it in and store into a variable's name. And I have to give data type right here to string. Because that's a string.
you can't see it.
Oh, I have my screen. It's still under presentation mode, I guess. There you go. So again, so scanner and then read and store into name, and name, what's the data type of name? String. And what is name? A variable, right? Variable.
So because it's a variable within the main method, doesn't it have a different, is it like instance variable or something like that?
No, this is just a variable
Okay, it's a variable.
inside the method. We will not talk about instance variable yet. So we'll talk about that later when we get into like the object, chapter 5, chapter 6. Okay. Any questions so far? Now, if I want to read in human wage, enter your name and then say, okay, enter your wage.
Wage or age?
Wage.
So float or double?
Okay.
Probably use
Double or float?
You don't need to use a double.
Okay, he's talking about float and double. Let's say what's float. Float is representing a number. You see, it starts to have the decimal points, right?
Yep.
So it's actually represent the number that is a decimal number. Like when we talk about byte, alright? If I want to represent human age, like how old are you? Okay, I'm going to say hello set, and then I'm going to prompt again, right? Afterward, I'm going to prompt again. Hello, it is nice. You see, I'm going to make a machine talking to the people, right? It's nice to meet you, Mr. Or it could be he or she, right? Then I'm going to leave that prefix out then. It's nice to meet you, John. Okay? Right? So you see, I use plus to, again, right? To what? to append, we call concatenating. Okay, concatenating or append here, but we just call concatenating operator. Like to append what? The statement, which is a string too, in the double quote, to the variable that hold the value. It's nice to meet you, John, right? If name is John, right? And then I start to concatenating again with how old are you? Okay? And then I pretty much just close. That makes sense? This is a period, like after John, right? To finish a statement. And then another sentence, right?
Right.
Now I want to read the age of John. What should I do next? And
Well,
technically,
you should do system out.
it should be reading like this, right?
Right.
Because this statement will read, correct? Now you need to know that you have to declare a variable now. And this is going to be a name variable is age. But every time you declare, it's not like math, you say x and y. This one you have to give the type.
This one could be byte.
So he said, should we use byte?
Yeah, that sounds reasonable.
Because human age will not be older than 127, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you pick the data type to use, right? So byte, that makes sense. So that's why data type come in, right? And you have to pick the right data type. There are 8 of them, right? We're not talking about string yet. We just talk about primitive data type.
Right.
String is not a primitive data type. That's why it's not on this chart.
Yeah.
But it's another data type. Okay. Now, how do I read in then? Use scanner again.
sc.next.
So if I use sc.next, remember I teach you last time. How do I know which method, right? Dot operator will access to a method of scanner class, right? So let's go back. Where do we find a scanner list of the method? Anyone still remember? Java doc. So go back to scanner Java doc. And we want to see the list of the summary of the method. And we're looking for byte that is returned. Last time when we do next, what does it return? If you see next, we have next byte. This is something that we want, right? It returns byte, right? Because if you do just next, it's return string. Because we use different data type. It makes sense? If we use string, then that's fine. Now, the age can be string too. If you want to put in the number as string, you could. But the problem is, you cannot, like string, add string, you get appending, like concatenating. Like, for example, if I want to use the age for calculation, like I say, how old are you? I want to add 5 to that. So if you say I'm 20, then it's going to be 205 if you look at a string. Because string is going to append as a string, you cannot add like a math 25. Make sense? So that's why we want to make sure we cannot do as string, right? So, and we just see that we should use next byte. And again, this is what camel cares, right? Like between the word we capitalize it, the method is lowercase n, okay? We don't use space, so that's why next byte, okay? So let's see if it works. Right, all statements have to end with semicolon. And then I'm going to print out what I have read in the age, right? By talking to the user again. Let me see what happened here. This one I should do system.out, right?
Well, so you
Correct.
can't even use string. The problem that will arise is that if you use string, trying to, if you're going to like add or multiply their age.
And print, let's say You are okay. I'm gonna say you are a. Let's just talk about how are you first. You are H, right? You are could be 20, right? And then concatenate like years old. Make sense? Right. So I pin the variables to right. The string. Now what we're gonna do, we're going to need to recompile this guy, right? So for I want to make it quick and faster, I'm going to just copy this and put on the IDE now, okay? So I'm going to create the new project. And I'm going to name this project as scanner did like or chapter 2, okay? Oh, okay, so cancel this out. And I will show you how to use Android later, but now let's make sure you understand this basic first, okay? And then we can start to program Android, okay? And you guys have Android phone. If you do, then you can bring the connectors to your phone, the USB cable. Then we can see, we can load the code after you program on your phone. Okay. So for this one, we're gonna call data type. Okay. And let's create a new. So in Intellij, right click and source Java class. Everybody at this point should be good with Intellij, right? Okay. Like I said, try to use it for both of them. Console, Intellij. You keep doing that, you get used to it. Okay. For all the assignments. Okay. Hello H for now. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to just paste the code that I have. And then first time you probably want to the name of the class. That's why I have to have the same name, right, as your file name. That's the rule, right, in Java. So we're gonna run this now. Alrighty. Enter your name, John. Hello, John. It's nice to meet you, John. How old are you? Right? Okay, 19. You are 19 years old. So I have to put space here, right? To fix that. So that's how it works, right? Like I said, when you put this like age, I can actually say like manipulating the data by adding, right? Next year, right? You will be, and I say age plus 1, right? Years old, correct? Now let's take a look at this first. When I put it that way, it may think this is a string. It may say 191. Okay, let's see if it's gonna do that. So I'm gonna type again, John 191. See that? because start this is string. To fix this, you have to use parentheses, like as grouping in math, right? That you have to add first before you concatenate. Otherwise, keep concatenating them. Okay. So let's run it again. John. Right. Next year you'll be 20 years old. Now, if I use string data type, first this guy has to change to be what? Next, right? And let's see if it works, right? See, you cannot add. It's gonna be always concatenating, right? Or append 1 to the original age. So that's why you don't want to use string to store age in the case that, or the data that you, any data type or the variables that you plan to manipulate it with the mathematical operations. You should give the right data type. Alright, so and I was saying wage, right? So I can start to ask again. Okay. So I would say what is your wage, right? So anyone want to help me on this?
You should use short.
First, we want to declare variables, right? Name wage, right?
Yeah.
But every time in Java it will say rate like that, meaning I don't know what it is because it's not part of Java code like system is. Those are Java keywords, right? It's gonna say cannot. If you hover the mouse, it's gonna say cannot resolve symbol. See, right? Because it's also expected every statement, but it's still a problem. They don't know what is the wage, meaning it's not part of Java. Okay, keys. So yeah, you need to give the data type when you declare new. This is called a new variable. So now you say float.
Yeah, short.
Short. Can wage having decimal can have like 170.5.
Yeah.
Then you don't want to use the integer kind of values.
Yep.
You want to use the floating point. Now they have two types, float and double. Float is 4 bytes. So this is technically can represent the number in this range. Right, remember it's minus 45, that means 0.0000, like about 45 that 14, right? To the point, 3 point, it's actually 3 and whatever numbers after that, and then the decimal point, and then you can have more digits afterward. And this is even bigger, which human wages, we don't really need that much, right? So float should be enough, right? And float is the pretty much the lowest one that you can go with. How many bits is the float again? 4 bytes is 32 bits. Right. Alrighty, so how would you read then? Equals, right?
Yeah.
And you use scanner again, sc dot. Next what?
Next.
You may see when you use Intellij IDE or the IDEs here, they're gonna have the method summary of that scanner for you. We don't have to do lookup manually. Then you can see, oh, this is giving you the float back. That's what I want. Let's try, right? So then we can just start to show, right, your wage is, and then this is going to be wage as a data type, and end with just period. Okay, so let's try to run again. Tom. Okay, you are 19, next year you're 20. What is his wage? 220. Your wage is 220.0. If I can do the decimal points, let's try that. John 19 1 into 5.5.
Correct. So, yeah. So, for example, 10 encoding. 10
Alright, so that's how you're going to deal with the decimal numbers, right? Any question on the data types? So you totally understand most of this. Now up to when we talk about char, it happened to be located here.
I mean, so this comes down to what you're expecting.
So what is char then?
Char is for single characters.
It stands for the characters, right?
Yeah.
So
For character Unicode.
so we learned in our introduction 1.1 characters is an ASCII. This one doesn't use ASCII. This one uses Unicode, which is another standard. ASCII is American Standard Code for Information Interchange. Usually it's 7 bits. Okay, so it's enough to represent alphabet, English alphabet A to Z, right? But it's not enough for universal. Like if you want to write like kanji, like Japanese or the characters in Chinese or the world language, so that's why we need more, which is we use 2 bytes instead, and we said 65,000 should be enough. Okay, so 2 bytes. So that's why that's another standard. It's the same principle as ASCII. So part of that is also have the ASCII included in here. So like English alphabet still using the same standards as ASCII when it's come to Unicode. Like the same number.
So like the
The
50x A would be
the
A and
the
ASCII.
higher byte pretty much is all 0. Yeah, right. And then the low bytes becomes ASCII. So if I want to read in a char, right? You could just say, what is your grade for Java class? Okay, more specific. CC 200 class. So that should be a char A, B, C, D, F, right?
Yep.
Instead of another data type, right? So we just say char.
Char space grade equals.
Mm-hmm. You can guess now. Next.
So next char.
Okay. Now we're interesting. There's no next char. Now if I want to read, okay, go back to
The Java
Java doc. We are looking for the return type as char, right? Do they have that? They may not even have it. So how we gonna read char? That's the question, right?
as a string.
They don't even have char. Look, yes, we can read as string, because string pretty much is the word or phrase, right?
String is just 7 characters. in a row.
So, but Okay, let's see if we read as string, we do what? Next.
Yeah, that's it. That's just next.
That is going to be an error because the type is wrong, right? Require char but found string. See that? This is just appending the package. Package is folder I teach you, right? Like java.lang
Yep.
the string. So string is another class. We learned what scanner is a class, right?
Yep.
Class has a summary of the method, right? How do we know that scanner is a class? Remember when I asked you to name your class, always capitalize the first letter? Whenever you see things like capitalized, those are class. I told you, right? System is also a class, right? String is also another class. So that's why string is not the primitive data type, right? Did I tell you about system is a class too?
I think you mentioned it.
Right, it's under java.lang, right? You see that?
Yep.
Like string is also java.lang. Those classes that under java.lang you don't need to import, but scanner happen to be under java.util. That's why you import java.util, right? You see, if I set up my Intellij to show Java doc right away when you hover mouse over, so I don't have to keep googling for Java doc. So it's very important to refer to the Java doc when you write a program. Then you know how to use the class, the methods. Okay. So now, how do we read? We know that this whole thing is going to give you what?
Gotta give you a string.
String. See that when I hover?
So
It says string. Found string, right? Then let's look at if I can find method of string that return char. Like I can this whole thing returns a string object,
right.
correct? Now you heard about object, right? Like meaning that like SC is an object, right? Object of scanner, right?
Yep.
That's why you say instant variables. You mentioned earlier. Sometimes we call instant. Instant variables is pretty much an object of a class. Like this is a class, right? But this is just variables because it's just a variable of the type is primitive type. It's not an object of a class. So if it's just variables, then you don't have a dot operators to get to summary of the method, right? But if it's an object, you can use a dot operators like dot next, right? To get the method, right? To get to the method. Now this will return an object,
Return string.
right? Technically, meaning that I could use another dot operators from this object. Like you may see that you have dot and dot again, right?
Yeah.
So you could just use dot, another dot operators, and look at this return. Like I told you, I said the Intellij will summarize the method summary for you, and this is a char. It suggests that it will return a char. Now this is the method that is require you to provide an index, an integer number. Like a string could be like John, the first index is 0, J, and the next index is O, 1, index 2, index always start from 0, 1, 2, H, and index 3 is N, right? So meaning that if I want the user to enter a letter, it's pretty much just going to be index 0 because only one letter, right? That's probably what we need. See? And then we can just say the grade now. Your class grade is, and then grade. So we pretty much just write a simple program that can interact with the user, right? John, what's your wage? What's your grade for CC200? See?
Can you explain the second to last line of the code again?
This part?
Yeah, I still don't understand.
So this part return an object string, right?
Yes.
Then string has the method, right? Because string is a class. If you look at Java doc for string, you can it's just like another class like that, like string Java doc. See, it's a class. So when you go to the summary of the methods, they have char at, return the characters at the specified index. Like in this case, my index should be just 0. So that's why I just say char at 0.
And it's 0 because it's only one character.
Right.
That's the only one.
Like for example, if I
If you want like the third letter of someone's name, for example, you should do char at 2, so that would return
right,
the second index.
yeah, let's say if I do char at 2, right? Now if I enter, I probably has to enter.
Well, wouldn't you want to change from char to string? So string grade equals, and then
John,
or are you gonna hit a runtime error?
if I say, like, for example,
A or B.
huh,
You say A or B.
A, B, C, it's gonna return C, right?
Oh, I see.
Because index 2,
Yeah,
0, 1, 2, right?
Yeah.
Another question. If you typed in A space B space C space, would it
There's return char at space. Whatever the space is, return space. It's because space is characters, right?
that's what I'm saying, would it only read the first A and stop
No.
at the first space?
Well,
If you do A space B and then it's return B because B is index 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you do A space space, then return space,
Yeah.
which you're not gonna see anything if you say your grade is space.
which we would like.
Any other questions?
But it's not really, it's actually space.
So we can look at the class exercise if you don't have any questions. So our class exercise for today, we're going to learn is 2. Did we talk about 2.1 already? Nope. Okay. So let's look at 2.1. So you start to learn how to read different data types, right? Now we can read a set of numbers in, okay, because you are required to write an application to find an average of 10 numbers from user input. So we can read a set of numbers in them. A number, if it's a small number, this is a range that pretty much you can look at, right? The primitive data type. Are you reading the number between this range, or what, right? So in this case, we may just use int. We assume that user not going to enter a number larger than 2 billion, okay? If so, then we have to use long, right? And then hopefully it's not larger than this. All right. yeah, you now we're going to use int, okay, because like I said, we assume not larger than 2 billion, right? So the question is, at this point we learn how to read in one input at a time. How would I put a set of numbers and then you can read all of them at once? I mean, if my program question asks you to just do prompt user for the first number, you said enter first number, read in, you create a variable store first number, right? Second number, read in, store second number, and so on. After done 10 numbers, then you just sum them up and divide by 10 and print out that's the average. I think everybody can do that, right? Yeah? Do you think you can do what I just said?
So read a bunch of numbers?
It's literally
Just prompt the user one at a time.
just
Yeah,
numbers.
so you rather create an object
number
like you did,
one.
and then
Yeah,
just
the first
next,
one. Then you say
next,
that it's
next
variable
hit,
one.
Right.
next hit.
Then you enter number 2, say it's
Yeah.
variable number 2.
That's one way, right?
Yeah, that's a long way though.
And
I
then
was
you would do
wondering
the
what
actual
you're
math. You
doing.
do 1 plus 2. Plus
Yeah,
2.
that's my question. You think you can do that as a long way first?
Yes. Or I can.
Can you?
I think so.
Do you want to try a little bit then? Let's try a little bit first, okay? So let me see who wants to come out and try. You, because you said you think so. And then we will have him to assist you. You're the one who type and he's going to be the one who guide. We do pair programming. Okay, come. Alright, so I want to help on create a new project, right? And this is gonna name what?
Average, yes.
Okay. Average. Okay, it's good that you start to come out first for the easy part one. The one who wait for the last is gonna get the harder one.
Oh, yeah.
Or you can always wait for the last if you feel like you want to challenge yourself. Alright, so I'll turn this to you. And also this is on streaming, you can talk if you want to.
Do you wanna do the talking? So more knowledgeable.
Okay, quick. So what's the plan now?
Well, we gotta import java.util.scanner.
How would you do it? Think about if you were out there, how would you do it?
Oh, my bad.
Maybe get some scratch code and write a code on there.
So this is a block comment. You gotta either delete it or close it. So just delete it, not import it. No dot, just space java.
Find an average of 10 numbers. Right program to find average of 10.
Util.
What would you think you can do?
Sorry.
No, you good. We're gonna mess this up a lot, don't worry. Capitals.
Capital. Yeah, I knew. Always
Now
gets me. Alright.
Now get a
I want to see you do
colon.
it too.
Colon. Alright. Public class average.
Okay, so it would be
So it'd be public static void.
static main. Wait,
Void.
Void. Yeah, right.
Main.
Parentheses.
Parentheses.
Or- no.
Capital S. String. And then left bracket, right bracket. No space, just no. The other one. Sorry, not bracket. Block.
No, I think you're right there.
combo.
Okay, stop. That one, right?
Yes. Now space after the second.
No.
Yes. Args. Now go outside the parentheses and do 2 curly brackets.
I like it.
And open and a close. Oh, did it make it for you?
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
what's black now. Alright, got it.
So just go up here and press enter.
That's just
Alright, now we're going to declare integers. So let's say, how many numbers you want?
10 numbers.
Okay, so int space n1
And 1. Yeah, equals.
colon.
Cool.
Do you want us to declare him and give a value to him, or should we just declare him?
Doesn't matter.
I guess you could do equals.
Yeah, so it equals.
Yeah, but for now, just put next int. Or, yeah. We gotta come back to it. Just put next int. No. Next with a capital I.
So-
Next. No.
Next.
Next.
Dot.
No. So,
Maybe
Capital I?
try to
Oh.
give the
Oh,
number
I see.
first before you prompt the user.
Yeah.
Maybe. Make it
Yeah.
easier first.
ooh.
So take out
Okay.
equals.
Just randomly give numbers.
Just leave it like that for now,
Okay.
and we'll come
And
back
then
to
we
it.
fix that later. Like maybe just give number like 5, 6. You see what I mean?
Oh.
You can say like
Yeah.
n1 equals like 5.
For now.
Oh, for now? Sure.
Then
Delete
make
the
it
next
simple.
int.
Just like
Put
math,
5.
right?
And you gotta put a colon
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, each statement has to end with semicolon, right?
Alright, now do scanner with a capital S. Space. Give it a name.
Like variable.
I'd say probably keyboard number. No,
Oh,
lowercase
yeah,
k.
yeah.
And then a
Mhm.
capital I. Or
So
N.
n
What's
is
the
n
big
number.
Then in that case, you should initialize your n1 equal to 0.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
In that
So equals
case,
to 0.
Yeah.
Alright, cool.
Alright.
Colon, right? Or we.
Keyword space equals scanner, so the capital S, parentheses, system with a capital S, dot n,
Dot n.
n, I n.
Oh.
Alright, and then go outside and put a colon. Oh, new before, sorry. So after equals, put a new space. There we go. Now we have a scanner. And now I'd say go back up to n1 and just let's do this real quick.
That doesn't work. Yeah, I tried that too.
Why does it look like that?
Hit the 0, I think that's how I
There
fixed
you
it.
go. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
take
there
it.
you go.
Oh,
Alright.
why do you put it under?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're good.
Why do you put it under?
I don't know. It just makes more sense because
Oh.
we made the scanner and now we're going to use the scanner.
Okay.
So instead of 0, delete that. You can say equals keyboard number, same way you wrote it before. Oh, now you're in caps.
Keyboard number.
Dot. What kind of data type do you want to use? What kind of, how big
Oh,
numbers?
Byte, right? Because like we'll probably get like 10 numbers. I'm not gonna go over 127.
Sure. 2 byte. Next byte. Yeah. Alright, now go to the end. Enter.
Yeah.
Now do n2 equals.
Yeah, and then just
Keep
keep
repeating
repeating,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And then just a bunch of random numbers. Keyboard
Actually, you
number.
could probably just copy the whole thing, paste, 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 and then just change the
right.
end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Next. Byte.
Colon.
Yeah. And
Now
we'll just
copy the whole
paste.
thing.
Control, was it C?
Yep. Control V. Enter, Control V.
Yeah, I'll just change the numbers after.
5, 6, 7,
Oh, missed.
7, 8, 9.
10, right?
Yeah.
And then I have to change all the
And
numbers.
then just go starting up at that one.
Yeah. So 3. Nope. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then just enter random numbers in the parentheses.
No, you don't need anything now. Now you just go to the end, Press enter. Do it twice. We'll get some separating space.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Now we're on to our next step, which is
Dividing.
now we got to get the user to put in information, right?
Oh.
So we do something like system.out.println. Change that to a period.
That's. Sorry.
Does that help?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about it. I was just put mine.
And then go back in
Yeah.
there.
Then
The
put a call.
quotes.
Yeah.
Alright, so make up whatever you want, right?
Enter number.
Well, let's see. What would you put 10 numbers in for? Enter 10 numbers. Yeah.
Alright. 10 numbers. They go down right.
Yeah.
And be.
And then we'll do.
It's like the new keyboard, right? So that's what you have to do because you have to input.
Actually, take this.
It's just this whole thing.
Yeah, take that whole thing. Cut it. Put it in between the scanner and.
Right here.
Yeah. That'll make more sense. I think because we declared all these with the next byte, and we want them to punch in bytes after that. So let's do. Put one more space between the scanner. I can't tell what's what.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, don't know so
Oh,
much.
you're good. Alright, so now we got all these integers declared and everything. Enter 10 numbers. We're going to enter 10 numbers. It's going to record it. Go up here and you got to say separated by a space.
That?
Because we're delimited to spaces right now.
Okay. So like that is like.
Yeah, you can just add into it.
Alright.
So just write separated by a space. More instructions for it.
I see.
Okay.
Or do you want to do by a comma? That make more sense.
Well, if
Oh,
you
no,
do
yeah,
it by
no,
a comma,
yeah, no, that does make sense.
it's going to read the comma.
No documentation found.
Alright, now let's go down
It
to
says
F.
those typos, is that alright?
Wait, sep-rated. Sorry. Alright, so now we go down to under our intervals. Or integers. And now we're going to do now you should have punched the numbers in and pressed enter. So now you want a message like system.out.println.
Again, dude. More keyboard. Print
Go there. You entered. We'll just say you entered.
Yeah, okay. You entered.
And do like a colon.
Cool. Like, oh.
And then a space. And then outside of the parentheses.
Yeah, and then the plus, right?
Yeah. Space plus space. Alright, this is where it's weird. So you have to do escape characters if you want them in quotes. We'll just do, yeah, just do N1. Let's just try it. Try N1 and then a plus and then N2, and hopefully it won't add them together.
Plus and 2.
Or just keep going all the way to N10. Oh, I'm just hoping it doesn't.
Do you want to
add
just
them
test it
together.
first? Because we can just hit the.
Oh, I know what you have to do. Okay, after the N1 plus,
N1 plus?
go over to the N2. Oh, just at the beginning of N2. Alright, now put your quote. And then
Oh, do you have to
put
put
a
parentheses?
space, end quote. No, before it.
Yeah, before.
Yeah. And now space plus
And then
after
just
the
repeat.
quote.
Oh, I see.
You see what I'm doing?
Yeah, space plus. And then you just keep going.
And then a space after the plus. I mean, you don't entirely.
Yeah,
but
no, that makes
yeah,
sense.
and then you just keep going. And that puts a space between each printout of these numbers, and hopefully it doesn't add them together. Kind of good. So we're concatenating.
Okay, so we're just gonna keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Space plus.
plus and 3, right?
Yep.
And 3.
And then space plus.
Space plus. Quote.
Rotate. Yeah. Space.
Space.
Yeah. It's kind of tedious.
God, maybe it's not the right classroom. Plus.
Yeah, put a plus.
Yeah.
Alright, this time press space. Now press enter. Boom.
Oh. Oh. I like it. But we don't have
since
that.
we already have that.
We need N5 there instead of
Yeah,
these
instead of
quotes.
the quotes, put N5.
N5 space cross quote. So just hit enter, right? Nope. No, it did not work.
That was for the.
Yeah, I see.
when
I
you
see
get
what
to-
it means now. Yeah, that makes more sense.
Put a space in there.
Space. So what is it? N6 now? N6 plus
The way they're
space.
probably doing it.
It's probably the worst way to do it. So. But it should work.
Separated by a space.
No, that's right.
We're almost there. Almost there. Oh, it's recording.
Yeah, dude, we're gonna be famous. Alright? And 10. And
Oh,
I'm done,
no.
right? No?
Missed your 9.
Alright, not that close yet. Got a little ahead of myself. Alright, and 10. And then we do a parenthesis, right?
I think, yeah.
And then colon, semicolon, whatever.
Yeah.
And do we test it?
I think so. I think we're good to try it.
Run average dot main.
Yeah.
It's gonna all be wrong. We're just have to retype everything.
Alright.
You might still work.
Enter 10 numbers.
Good.
It's a railway space. You just do 1 space, 2 space.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10.
That's all we have to do, right?
I think. No, did we have to average them? Did you want us to average them?
That's for the next assignment. Did you say it? Oh yeah. He said he wanted us to average him?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So just go up here and declare, like, after this? Or no. Sorry, after the scanner.
Scanner. Okay. Right here.
Press enter. Alright, now put,
System
There
value.
it tells
No,
you
no.
you could just put like another system that has a print line or like give the average.
yeah. So just put declare a variable, so integer. Just put integer. Int space sum.
Sum?
Yeah.
Is he on?
And then a colon.
Oh, cool.
Oh, my bad. Semicolon.
Yeah, okay. Semicolon.
And then enter. Int average.
No, just okay. Average. Would that work? Because it's the same.
Semicolon.
Okay.
Would what work?
Yeah, because
the
it's
int?
the same name, so I just wasn't sure it would work. Yeah, it should be fine.
Oh, you're right. No, that's a capital A. We're good.
Yeah, okay.
Alright. So now we can come in here and say one more. Oh no. Okay, yeah. Come up back to this and say sum equals.
Sum equals.
And then you say just n1 plus n2 plus n3 plus n4.
In parentheses or not? Just or I'm good.
If you want, doesn't matter.
Plus
And I don't think you have to do the spaces either. You just do n1 plus n2.
N2 plus N3 plus
Oh. So close.
Oh, damn it. Oh, not recorded.
And the n needs to be lowercase.
Oh.
Okay. And now go to the average equals
Average equals
sum divided by 10.
sum divided
Slash
by, yeah, 10.
10.
That work?
Okay, yep. Now those two are set.
So try it?
I'd probably take them since we declared them and probably actually cut them and put them. I don't know where you want to
Do you want to try it?
not yet, because you have to say, go down to the bottom.
Oh.
You have to say system.out.println, and you have to give.
Yeah. And then you like your averages.
The average of your numbers is.
I'll just put the average is, and then it would be. What did we say it was? Just average, right? And then outside of it, plus average. I'm learning. Alright, am I good now?
Yeah.
Is that
CMD.
it? Alright, let's try it.
goes between two variables.
Is this the homework, or do we have to do it a
This is
different
pretty
way?
much the homework. Okay.
Java cannot find symbol.
Okay, so here, try this. Cut this.
Cut it?
Yeah.
I'll keep it just
And now paste it.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
So I think
Right
thing that you guys
after these. So come here, enter, enter. Yeah, and then do the same with the other one.
Yeah, just bring it back down.
And usually you can declare the variables up here, but since we equal them out,
Alright, so
not this one.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 I just leave the spaces right, doesn't matter.
Yeah. And then just put it right after it. No, up here.
Oh. Okay. See, this is why. Triple B.
Yeah, now go here,
Here?
right above it. Press enter. I'll get a space here, just so it looks more beautiful.
Now try it, right?
Now try it.
And then fish again. Okay. So 2 is our second value.
Alright.
And fish is between them, so we're not really. Alright. So now we keep reading. Okay, so R, E.
Alright, the average is 5.
Okay.
It ain't fancy enough,
So
it works.
R, E.
Works?
It works. Next value.
Okay, so
Okay, now we're on to the new value.
everybody understand this?
And then fish. And then you're done. Okay, we're done.
Who has question with this program? So look like this program will alright, so I try to clean up the spaces that not necessary. And this one you might want to indent, right? Correct? That's the standard practice. Like you indent at the class level and you indent again. And this one you don't need spaces, right? So to make it easier to read, you want to indent. Okay. Thing you could do. I just try to see. There's a way you could do in a group too. Indent. It's faster. Huh? There's a way to do if you do the use VI, which we'll learn on the Unix. So that's good. That then you should learn how to indent, right? This spaces is good because you space them like these are reading 10 numbers. This is just calculate sum and average, and this is just to display. Then we like to keep those spaces to group them into its own, right? So let's read this code again. For the one who were confusing, you should focus on this. Because I look at some of you were struggling at this point. Like after you have the main, that's standard, and then you don't know what to do next. So let's think about what to do next. We try to read an input, right? Correct? So you probably want to prompt the user, which is fine. You can prompt first. Right, so you could prompt the user. That's what you want to do, right? Prompt the user to enter 10 numbers. And this one's separated by a space, right? After you see, this should show up on the first line after you run. And now you start to read in the user input here, and we learned that these are integer. If they are integer, we use next in. But it's this one, like I said, next byte is still an integer type, right? Key values, if you remember, right? So these are good as long as you not specify more than 127. So that's why it was okay, right? So, but if you have more than 127, then this is going to be an issue, right? Then you want to use next int instead, right? So what I'm going to do change this to let's see if I can just change the whole thing by using find request. Alright, so we said we want to read in. To read in, we know how to use scanner. Last class we learned how to use scanner. We said we have to import scanner, create an object of the scanner by using this syntax, right? Or statements by reading from keyboard. We use system.in. So technically this is going to be a scanner class, and object name, it could be any name. Now you choose to name it keyboard number, which is equals to, and when you create an object, that's why this is called a constructor, the one who make the object for you, which is a method that you say I want to create a new object, right? By using constructor is the one who initialize the object. So to read input from the keyboard, system.in. Okay, again, if you feel confusing a little bit, like I said, at this point just remember that always that format to read in the user. Always write that line. Okay, the difference is just the name can be anything, which you can just keep it that name too.
So with the statement, the scanner class name equals new, does it stop there as far as the object, and then this is a constructor instructions?
Yeah.
So the new is actually
The new is a keyword to create a new object.
Okay.
Initialize the values through the constructor.
Then why do you have to use scanner as a constructor? Just because it's from the scanner class?
Scanner is a constructor. Constructor is the method that has the same name as your class name.
Okay.
So they didn't have to set a delimiter. Is space just always considered a delimiter, or?
By default, the delimiter for scanner is the space, whether you use next or next in.
Okay.
Alright, so now that's why when you do next in, it's just read in and separate by spaces, right? So you have 10 numbers and you declare 10 variables to store them, right? Now we are ready to sum. We said, okay, we can just declare another variable named sum. This is like pure math, right? This is just like your algebra already. You just do sum, group them using parentheses, add them all up, and then store in sum, divide by 10, then you get an average out, right? Basic math, right? Declare another variable named average, and then you start to pretty much just respond back to the user with the output display that you entered this set of number and the average of that is, right? So pretty much this is an application to find average of any 10 numbers that user could provide, but it could be no bigger than the int limit, which is 2 billion, right?
I have a question. If you were to enter like 7 numbers perhaps, would they just give an error, or would they still give the average of those 7 numbers?
Then it's given error because it's going to read in, because this one prompt you to read in 10.
Okay.
then it's probably not going to do anything until if there's no errors. It's just not going to do anything. It's going to wait for you. Look, if I enter only 1, 2, it's not going to do anything. It still wait for you to enter.
Okay.
Right? So because it's still at a line that it still wait for you, right, to enter 10 numbers. Any other questions?
How would you do it if you didn't know how many numbers would be put in?
Oh, then you have to use a loop.
You have to do what?
Use a loop.
Would you use a while
Chapter
loop?
4, which is you're going to, did you finish chapter 3 yet? Then start reading chapter 4. If you didn't finish chapter 4, then read chapter 3, okay? And finish chapter 3 and then start chapter 4. It's gonna come in soon, okay? Now let's come back to the assignment. Now this is, any question so far? This is very simple. Now the hard part is just how to use the scanner. You just need to learn how to use scanner. That's pretty much it, right? Like at the bottom part, you already know how to use math. This is your algebra. This is like your Hello World program, right? How to display, right? And this is just like your class last time that you do class exercise where you do interact hello my name, right? Use scanner, but just use it a little bit more. But your class exercise, you need to do more than this, a little bit more than this, because I want you to understand what is the delimiter too. Like in this case, the delimiter is a space, right? Like it's going to separate by space, right? You could change the delimiter to anything that you want. Like you can delimit it with a comma instead. Okay, so how do we change the delimiter to comma? Then you need to understand, like this video also showing you how to use the delimiter with a scanner class. So scanner class should have the method to set the delimiter, right? So what's the name of that method? You can look up on Javadoc. So let's say if I say keyboard number, that's an object, right? And use dot to get to the method, right? Delimiter. Is that the one? If you're not sure, then these are the list of the method, right? From the summary. We can Google. If you're not sure, then you can read the Javadoc by clicking on the method name. And now if you don't have this pop-up, like now I set my Intellij to pop up the Javadoc, you have to go to set it. Okay. Last time I just Google, let's just show up Javadoc on Intellij. Let's see. And then you just follow the settings right there. Code completion and auto pop-up. Under editors, code completion, you go to settings, right? Editor, right? General, code completion, auto pop-up document. See that? And you can set the time. Alright. And then you have to set, that is just auto pop-up the document. And then you need to set another one to show on mouse move over under general, show quick documentation. Okay, so go back to the editor and under general and make sure you scroll down, and you have to check that document, right? Let me see, under edit, show quick documentation on mouse move. Here you have to check that, and then you will be able to see the Java doc right there, right? Documentation, that's it, the documentation on mouse move. Just set those two, and now so if I call delimiter, it's going to be pretty much just return what is the delimiter is using, which if I say system.out.print, it's going to return what? A space, because by default it's using the space. Like if I run this program now, it should return Java white space the delimiter. See that? Okay, which we actually want to set the new delimiter. So let me just say keyboard dot, how do we set? They should have the method. We have to find that method to set the delimiter. Use delimiter. There you go, right? There are two of them. Let's use the one that we know is string, right? So we want to use a string which is inside a double quote. That's a string data type, and I put in a comma, because the question asks you to separate by comma now, right? By a comma, right? Instead of the space, right? And then I use the, remember this is a scanner, has an object named keyboard number. Use dot operator, you have an access to all the functions. So this is so simple, just like you bought a phone, or you bought GPS, you bought your refrigerator, you bought your TV. You just press a button to get to the function that you want. Like your phone, you just launch an app, like clock, stopwatch. Same thing. I just play the dot operator. I have an access to other functions for that scanner. If you think it this way, right? It's just like that. When you, like the phone has other functions, but it's not going to have other function as a car. You bought a car, same thing, I have to get another class to build a good application. Now you're going to be rich in everything. If you know how to use it, just know how to use it, that's it. It's free, Java. You don't have to buy anything, right? The only thing is just know how to use it. And there are so plenty of them out there. Like for example, instead of interact like this, you can actually make your application to talk to you. Like I can talk to the computer, like all the 10 numbers, and the machine should respond back to me the total is. How do you know that? It's all free out there, I'm telling you. What you need to know is just what class you should use. That's it. What class you should use. You just need to learn how to use it. And then you can build your own applications. That's the fun part of programming. You can build anything. And it's all free. That's why Java is so popular. It's all free out there. You just need to have the knowledge to build it. And it's that simple. Like I said, okay, I want to set the delimiter, use delimiter comma. Okay, so let's run it. Now it's going to say, now the delimiter is comma. See that? It's from this line. See that? In this case, I have to use a comma, otherwise it will not be working, correct? So let's use the comma, like number 7, comma 8, comma 9 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. But the last one you still have to use comma because it's a use delimiter comma. See that? And then you get the average. Now the tricky part comes. How would you change it back to the last one not using comma, right? But that one is not required anyway. But that's for the one who want to challenge yourself. You get extra credit. So that pretty much we complete your assignment. Right? Just watch this video again and submit it. Right? And try to understand.
Well, so what about like the requirements? Like requirement 3 says you should put a comment at each line of code. Do you want that or?
Yes, of course, requirements you have to follow. So we talk about. Did we talk about comments?
Very little bit, but not much.
Yeah, you have to pretty much just finish the requirements too. Like for example, first requirements, you put the comments, but I want you to learn how to generate Java doc comments. You have to do 2 asterisk like that, /2 asterisk, and enter. See there? But we want to put at the class level, like here, on the top of the class, and at the method level too. And then you can just write down, like, explain what is this main method, right? And argument is pretty much not using any argument. You could use, but we're not using. Like I just explained something, you could do anything. Like normally at this point you want to talk about what's the main purpose of your application, like find average of 10 numbers, and then you can just do annotation author, like who wrote this program, right? And then you can just do date, right? Like when did you create it? Like they have like version number 1.0, something like that, and the license of your code, right? Okay, open to public, something like that. Or you want to make the license, just ask for permission before you use, something like that, right? Email me. Then that's pretty much Java doc comments that I want you to include for now, and then you can just go to generate them under tool and generate Java doc, meaning that what we are actually, okay, let's pick the folder. We actually create our own Java doc, just like scanner Java doc, right? Or string Java doc that we have learned, we've seen, right? Whenever you create a new class, you pretty much just, you can generate your own Java doc, and people start to, you publish it, people can use your average program, right? By just download the apps. It's just like you build an app on Play Store, let people download and use them. So now I want to show you how to generate Java doc by, I want to put in this location. Let's go to tools again, generate Java doc, generate in the same location, which is C. I want to put in the same locations, users, username, and the project. My project name is average. So this is our location. I want to create a name, the new folder name, docs, DOCS, okay, applies D. So generate that. Now the reason I want you to do this, like exact matching the name of the folder, because when you publish on GitHub, it's going to be a public folder where that people can search and see your Google. Like when I search, right, Java doc, people can actually search and get to your Java doc right away and read it, how to use your classes. And your GitHub actually is public. People can download your code to use right away. That's how you publish your work. That's why I teach you all those tools. Okay, so that's the requirements. And after you create docs, is under here. You see that? You see it's pop up the my Java doc that we just created right here. Let me move it back up. See, this is an average class. It just look like the scanner Java doc, right? And it has a method that we created. You see that? And the comment that I type, it show up here. See? And we have just one main method and one constructor average. Constructor always default, even when not created. We start to learn constructor when we do scanner.
So to get a constructor on your Java doc, you have to create an object and use a constructor. And then
To get a constructor, by default, is created for you. It's hidden. Every class is going to have a constructor.
Okay.
We'll talk about that. Alright, so that's the requirements you just need to follow for this first part. Must use scanner. You already know that, right? To read from keyboard. Must include single line comments. Single line comment is not going to be a part of Java doc. Like, you could just say, right, read input from keyboard. That's a single line comment to // right? So there are three types of comments: single line comment, Java doc comments, and multiple line comments. Like multiple line comment is you do /*, and then end with */, and then you can put the comments in here, right? Demonstrate how to use delimiter. See that? So that's the multiple line comments. So I just want you to use that. And we talk about declare variables and in a proper place. Proper place of variables, we should declare all, in the beginning. Like he did a scanner first. That one, right? Must use escape sequence. So I want you to research on that on your own. Read your textbook. I think the page should be different. This is according to my PDF version 7, right? But your page. Just read and try to use them. Okay, this is stand for tab, new line, and so on. I will talk about that more. It's easy. Just concatenating with your display text. Okay. Like quick example, if I want to tab, like when you say enter 10 numbers, I just put /t. If I want to tab, that /t, right? It stands for tab. Like when I tab, I have more spaces, right? When I run it, it's going to tab. See that? You see that tab? So there are more than just, it's just a special characters. Sometimes how you're going to display it, you have to look at the list on the chart. Okay, I think it's time, so I think it's good for today.